dawn in Yellowstone. The wilderness early visitors called Wonderland. Its wonders include the famous geyser, which fills the freezing winter air with steam. Old Faithful. Here, in the snow and ice, live some of Yellowstone's most charming inhabitants. Wild otters depend on open water and the fish that live in it. Where the Yellowstone River drops 300 feet, the group takes the direct route, almost straight down. Five of the otters make it down, more or less, but one is missing. He's chosen a particularly treacherous route. But he soon makes it to the foot of the falls. He calls to his family. A group of 5 otters have made it to the middle of the river. By the time he joins them, they're already at the bank. At the bottom of the falls, they can hunt for fish from the open water. Otters are themselves so well adapted to water that some medieval scholars classify them as fish. This mother has caught an especially large trout. Her pups are almost full grown and able to catch their own food, but it's still easier to beg from their mother. It's time the young otters learned to rely on the skills she's taught them. Another catch draws the attention of an outsider. During the long winters when food is scarce, some coyotes count on scavenging from the otter's catch. One of the pups tries to draw the coyote's attention away from his mother. The coyote misses his chance. Another chance. And another miss. Fishing takes a lot of time and energy. The otters will not share willingly with the coyote. An adult otter is 4 feet long and weighs about 17 pounds. Its teeth are razor sharp and its jaws are very strong. When it's one coyote against a family of otters, the odds are in the otter's favor. The two families have gone their separate ways. Mother otter is alone with her youngsters, a male and a female. She leads them further down the river with a growing sense of urgency, for she's pregnant with her next litter. She must find the youngsters a safe place before she finds herself a suitable den for the birth. But along the way, the male pup shows his growing independence and sets off on his own, while his mother and sister fish. But otters aren't only interested in fish, and this young explorer has caught an unusual scent. A swan. The bird is weak from starvation or disease. Unable to fly, it's trapped. The young otter's curiosity leads him close. The unfamiliar creature is much bigger than he is. But the swan is left further weakened by the encounter, and the next day it faces worse trouble. Coyotes have caught the scent. The swan is spared a lingering death. The mother has brought her two youngsters to a new den, one of the many along the river. The pups explore the area around the den, familiarizing themselves with their new territory. Otters instinctively scent mark their dens, The mother goes about this task while her pups play around her. The pups pay no attention to their mother's efforts. This snowbank makes too good a slide to ignore. The scent tells her pups and other otters that she has passed by. She must leave now, and she won't be back. The two young otters search for their mother and keep returning to her last scent marks. She's already searching for another den, away from the pups, to have her next litter, conceived months ago, right after she last gave birth. The otters, alone for the first time in their lives, call for their mother. But after a year with their mother, they'll be quite able to fend for themselves. The mother otter has found a new den in a snowbank away from the river. She's given birth to two new pups who remain sheltered inside, completely dependent on her. Now she has to hunt for fish frequently. An otter is one of the mustelids, animals like weasels, whose females are ready to mate again almost immediately after giving birth. So while she hunts, the more of her scent she can spread around, signposts for any male, the better her chance of mating. A successful catch, and there are no thieving coyotes around. But she's vulnerable to other opportunists. A young bald eagle is one of the best. Panicked, she dives for safety. The female otter is not the only one in search of a mate. Male otters are also on the lookout. This one has discovered a tantalizing smell along the riverbank, evidence that a receptive female is in the neighborhood. Following her scent through the snow won't be easy, but if he has to, a male otter will follow a female's trail for miles. The mother otter is still hunting and making her presence known. Winter is nearing its end, and she has to plough through a heavy slush of melting ice and snow, pausing only now and then to go back and feed her babies at the den. At the end of winter, bison seek out the park's thermal areas. Coyotes have found the remains of a bison that didn't survive the winter. A coyote is always in need of a meal, but with spring just ahead, the male has mating on his mind. The female is more interested in eating. The male and female otter have finally met. A gentle courtship quickly turns more vigorous and noisy. It would take more than a tumble into the river to dampen the otter's ardor. Like so much of their lives, mating often takes place in the water, and it's sometimes interrupted. A second male has followed the same trail. As the two males struggle over the right to mate with the female, they are oblivious to the fact that she's no longer interested in either of them. In fact, she's leaving. The female has got what she came for, but her embryos will not develop right away. They will start to grow only after 5 or 6 months have passed. By the time the male has realized she's gone, the female is far away, heading back to her pups. The males can only fight over who's to blame for letting her get away. With the arrival of spring, more than 100 square miles of ice begin to buckle and shift. Even before all the snow has melted, new players arrive on the scene. Canada geese, including more rowdy males. There's territory to stake out, prime nesting sites to be claimed, and the birds are perfectly suited to working out some kind of pecking order. In just a few days, the remains of a grinding jigsaw puzzle float away. Is immense, covering parts of 3 Western American states. The high country is the last to surrender to the warmth. Snow will deliver meltwater to the lake all through the summer months. Far below, the mother has kept the pups hidden until their eyes open and their muscles are strong enough for swimming. Now 2 months old, their education is set to begin. A hollow log will be the otter's home for the easy times. The lake is teeming with fish. It's the season for reproducing, and there will soon be an even better supply of cutthroat trout. The fish swim up into the small streams that feed the lake. The cutthroat trout spawn only in shallow water. It's now that they are most vulnerable to predators. Their spawning run always attracts a crowd, and the otter's timing is perfect. As the mother fishes, her pups rarely let her out of their sight. The mother leads the pups back towards the log. Eating a slippery trout while still in the water isn't advisable. Better to find somewhere more stable. The log makes a fine dinner table, and the two pups start dining. Dinner time is a chance to play tug-of-war. There'll be a plentiful supply of fish for these pups this summer, while spawning lasts. This pup has eaten his fill and keeps himself amused with a pine cone. But the other pup is still wrestling with his dinner. Mother has provided well, but still she can't take a break. Before long she has to go and get her own meal. First, she has to find the fish. Then she has to maneuver close to her prey. Then, with any luck, the fish may panic and swim towards the leaves. Once caught in the otter's sharp teeth, a trout rarely gets away, no matter how much it struggles. This one shows exactly why it's called a cutthroat. Back at the log, the pups pester their mother. They seem to have room for a second helping. She caught this one for herself, but she won't refuse her pups at this age. Reluctantly, she shares with them, until they release her catch back into the water. Otters seem to have two speeds, on and off. For all of the animals in Yellowstone, summer is a time to eat and grow and relax. So much abundance is made possible by warm days and frequent showers. To an otter, it seems to make perfect sense to seek shelter from the rain in the water. The storm has recharged the otter's batteries, and its passing makes them even more boisterous than usual. After several weeks, the mother decides once again it's time to explore. Traveling with youngsters can be difficult. Something on the other shore looks unfamiliar. Wolves, reintroduced to Yellowstone not long ago. Although they're on the other side of the water, they are a reminder that even now she must remain alert. Wolves often kill animals much larger than otters. Although otters are packed with energy, enough to travel for miles, they eventually wear themselves out. With little warning, they suddenly stop and sleep. The easy times are coming to an end. The otters are on the move again, leaving the hollow log behind for another year. The Yellowstone summer is coming to an end. Harder times are on the way. Temperatures are dropping, and rising mist reveals the presence of heat hidden underground. Yellowstone's secret powerhouse of geothermal activity. This energy creates warm pockets of water that attract the lake's fish, and the mother otter knows exactly where to find them. There are cutthroat trout, but also huge lake trout, a newly discovered non-native species which eat the native cutthroat, a possible ecological disaster for all who eat the cutthroat, including the otter. The young otters are now joining their mother in catching fish. It isn't as easy as it was in the stream, but the otters have plenty to eat. The pups are getting bigger and must learn to fish for themselves while there's plenty of open water to practice in. The mother's next litter is growing inside her, and she'll need to be free of her youngsters in only a few months' time. The family even has room for one more. A young female otter, the same age as her previous offspring, a yearling, joins the family. The constant presence of coyotes is never welcome. And this coyote has come along at an especially awkward moment. The otters have encountered a rare obstacle to their freedom, a man-made wall. An adult otter can easily get over it. But what about the younger ones? The mother otter and their new companion show how it's done. But the pups are going to need help. Necessity is the mother of invention. They've made it. But in Yellowstone, there's always another show. Two young bald eagles practice a bonding ritual. It has been said that Yellowstone has 3 seasons: July, August, and winter. By September, the cold is already on the way. Mornings are frosty, a signal that sends the otter family back to the river. The family is traveling as a trio again. Their companion has headed off alone. The otters are completely at home in the water, but their curiosity often prompts them to explore on dry land. The explorers have made a discovery. Of what? They are not quite sure. Discretion being the better part of valor, they leave. Another meal brings another uninvited guest, a bald eagle. An otter probably faces more interrupted meals than any other predator. Bigger fish must be taken to solid surfaces, logs, ice or land to be eaten. Here, they're vulnerable. But the eagle fails to grab a bite. At least the coyote is not interested in stealing fish, not when small rodents are easily caught in the grass. This time he's caught a field vole. His prosperity won't last much longer. The first icy edges of winter are already here. Frozen water is something new for the young otters. Now traveling will be even more fun. As the family cavorts on the ice and in the icy water, thick fur coats keep them warm. Otters have the densest fur in the animal world. The pups are nearly adult size, but they're still as boisterous as ever. The instinct to play is still very strong, bonding the mother and her pups. She shares with them the curiosity for all things new in Yellowstone. A young salamander is small and slow enough for the pups to catch or play with, all part of learning the fine art of fishing. And then, one morning, it's winter. It's the young otter's first glimpse of a snowy landscape. But blizzards will be regular events now. Yellowstone's hard times are here. For the otters, The snow means additional shelter. The mother and her pups are secure inside their den. Also sheltered here are the hidden, unborn litter developing inside the mother. In this new, frozen world, it will be harder for the otters to find fish. The ice has, for the most part, locked them away. But Yellowstone has hot springs, and the mother otter knows where they are from winters past. Even when the air temperature is 40 degrees below zero, the springs flow at near boiling point. So some parts of the lake stay open, fishing holes for otters. With the rodents hidden beneath the snow, the coyote is back, scavenging for fish. In the middle of winter, when virtually every other animal in Yellowstone struggles to find food, the otter family can feast on trout. Now that the pups are so big, it's every otter for itself. The mother won't share anymore. It's time this set of pups became self-sufficient. No fish, so the male pup sleeps, but his sister stays close to her mother. Her persistence is rewarded with a fish head. Other, less choice bits of fish are often abandoned around the hole. The coyote makes constant trips to the fishing holes. One youngster, oblivious to the coyote's arrival, loses his prize. During the day, the otter family burrows deep into the snow, sleeping undisturbed by marauding coyotes or eagles. The male pup ventures out to explore. And finds himself a coyote. He's probably in no danger, but out here, without his mother and sister, he decides to give the coyote a wide berth. This is not the best time to come up with a catch. Catching an otter by the tail is a novel way to hook a fish. Not much use if it made the otter drop the catch. All you end up with is one indignant otter, no fish. The otter rolls in the snow to smooth his fur. Any place his thick coat has been ruffled or torn must be put back in order, for the coat must trap air to maintain its insulation. The coyote, hanging around hopefully in case the fish reappears, finally gives up. The mother otter and female pup also encounter a coyote. She's an old hand at discouraging coyotes, and this encounter seems easy enough to manage. No fish, no contact, only taunts. Another familiar foe encroaches on the fishing spot. A bald eagle is too small to take an otter, but its sharp talons can do serious damage or force the otter to leave its fish. Once on the ice, the eagle loses its maneuverability. And is forced off. A raven arrives, joining the search around the hole for leftovers from the otter's meals. The two birds have spotted a small treasure. It's part of a fish left by the well-fed otters. Though the raven is smaller than the eagle, he's a master trickster, quick and cunning. The mother and young female set out to cross the snow. The coyote is with others from his pack. They're in a contentious mood as they fight out who's who in their hierarchy. This time, the coyotes aren't interested in fish. They mean to kill an otter. And the odds are in their favor. Caught out in the open, the young female makes a run for the den, but the mother is trapped. Her speed and agility protect her from fatal bites to the spine. Her bites, well placed to the muzzle, deter the coyotes. But for how long? Miraculously, she's escaped. But spots of blood show that both sides inflicted some damage. Battered, shaken, but irrepressible, she emerges from the den to see the coyotes retreat. But something is heading towards her. Her male pup has returned, and the family is united. They greet joyously and set off again on their travels. Majestic mists rising over Yellowstone reveal the secret hidden beneath the rocks. A continuous source of warmth that sustains life even in the cruelest of winters. Without this heat, Yellowstone would be no home for otters or many other animals. But whilst it fuels the steamy eruptions of Old Faithful, Yellowstone will remain Wonderland.